tune. What a lad, what a lad, what a lad, what an absolute. He knows it.
I've listened to a few, mate.
Oh, what a lad. Well, today I'm lucky enough to be joined by a man many rate as the greatest looking All Black to ever play the game. And when fully fit, the hard-hitting and skillful midfielder also happened to be one of the best players as well. He had an incredible 18-year rugby career, which saw him reach the pinnacle of the game, winning the 2011 Rugby World Cup with the All Blacks. But it also saw him go through more injury battles in a few years than most get to go through in their career. He also inspired many in the kitchen with his cooking ability on Cooking with Kaks. And of course, he is a champion lad. He's one of the greats. It's the great Richard Kahui. Welcome, mate.
Hey, Jimmy, thank you for the intro. I don't know how many people say I was a bit rugby. I was one of them, but I don't know there was too many.
Mate, you're still looking very good. You're still looking sharp, and I'm sure this one will be an absolute hit on the YouTube. Everyone will be tuning into a couple of good-looking lads just chewing the fat.
Yeah, well, a couple of good-looking lads here, but yeah, it might be some good sleeping, a good sleep podcast, I reckon, my story.
No, mate, your story's one of the greats, and like you've been retired now for 2 years.
Yeah, it's gone quick, man. 2 years.
Yeah.
I just think about that the other day. It was 2 years in June.
Yeah.
And I feel like it was just yesterday, but at the same time, it feels like it's forever ago, if that makes any sense at all.
Yeah, I had to check the date as well. I actually thought it was a year ago because it felt like that.
Yeah.
I remember that game where you played the Highlanders and you knocked out Mitch Hunt.
Yeah, poor bugger.
One of your famous last involvements in the game.
Mate, I could never ever play in today's game because the way I tackle, I mean, I hurt myself a lot, but I often drifted sort of around the high chest to chin region, and there's no way I could play nowadays and get away with it. I would have been one of the more banned players, I reckon.
Yeah, well, you did throw your body into contact, and like you say, it was around that shoulder point region, so any sort of ducks, no mitigating factors.
All intent and no technique, eh?
But you did say it's gone quicker. I guess that's a good sign because, I mean, everyone sort of says that first 2 years is the hardest. Yeah,
it's been really quick, actually. And to be fair, my transition was really easy, sort of, I'm sure we'll get to it, but straight into sort of what I was doing before rugby, back into being a chippy, and I'm absolutely loving it. I just love every day. And then outside of that, we come back to our home, which is now our home here on the Gold Coast, and just slotted back into life. And it's been, apart from a few family things, it's been a really easy transition. And to be honest, I've missed elements of playing, but I haven't missed it. So I've replaced it with other things. I play at footy now, and AFL footy. So.
Oh, do you?
Yeah.
How do you got that?
Oh, they're all silky right boots. Hey, all those times Stephen Donald didn't let me kick at the Chiefs, mate, I'm telling you. Kept the best weapon. Oh, missed opportunity. It should be me kicking that goal, I reckon. But no, I love it. There's areas of the game that I'm it's only over 35, so let's be honest. It's not like
you're not chasing a contract.
No. But I love the skill set. I'm not good in a lot of the areas. I struggle when the ball's on the ground. Just different mindset, and the spatial awareness is not as good as the guys that have been playing for 20 years. But I love it. I love not being good at it, and I just go down, have a kick, and I enjoy more the social stuff, and that sort of filled the void from finishing rugby. I've sort of replaced that with another sport and having another group of lads. So it's made my transition real easy.
Mate, that's a good way to do it, because that's the thing that everyone says they miss the most is that camaraderie and, that banter with the boys. But you're getting that fix from your AFL.
Yeah, and I think you can agree. Like, men need men. Like, we need to be around each other, whether you've always been in a team environment or whatever it is, whether it's one good mate or 10 good mates. Guys need to be around each other. The banter, we socialise differently when we're all together, and that's what sport does. And I'm really grateful that I was able to make sport my career, which was bloody fun.
Was it a tough decision for you? I know you got to 37 before you retired, and if you told a 23-year-old Richard Kahui that you're going to play till you're 37, I'm sure you would have had a laugh. But Was it hard because you're still playing some really good footy for the Force at the time? Was it a hard decision?
Oh, look, you've been generous there. You've been very generous there. It wasn't hard, to be honest. You start your career and you just live day to day, and it's your dream, and you just fight to stay there. And you never feel I actually never felt comfortable at all, really, until my last year in New Zealand.
Wow.
I always felt like I was never good enough, and I had to work hard, and so I sort of just lived day to day. And I think about it, I sometimes didn't enjoy the moment of just being there sometimes enough, just because I was so worried about not being good enough or not being there.
Yeah.
And so then I got to the sort of to a stage where I felt okay, I am decent enough. I can add positive impact to the team, and but then from about 32, I think some of my best years I think I played in Japan, especially around that 2014, 15 season, 16. Maybe the year Beaver came over 2018, I think might have been my last good year. He came over to Toshiba. And then I found it really hard to watch myself play from there on. With all the shoulder injuries I had, my technique changed so dramatically that I tackle poorly. I tackled head on the wrong side, always right shoulder, and it was subconscious. I'd often knock myself out because I'd say, yeah, I'm going to make left shoulder tackle, and then last minute, subconsciously, I'd put my head across. So, and then just watching, how slow I was, and just a slow deterioration. Yeah. I knew I had other value to add to the team, and that's sort of why I came back from Japan, because COVID initially brought me back, but then why I decided to go to the Force. So it was to play with a young group and then add little bit of experience and then move on to coaching eventually, and that was kind of the plan. And then just things, I played probably longer than I thought I might have.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed it. And then just decided to go away from the coaching. And then we came home. So, sorry, to answer your question, it was easy because I got bad. I got my skills, my speed, all the things that I thought was my foundation, that have gone. So.
Mate, I know that feeling, but I could obviously see the other things that you're adding to that group, like some of the organisation and all those other things that the older, more experienced players can add to a group. Can be priceless, and but I know that feeling of your body or your mind wanting to go somewhere and your body just can't do it, or it's depressing.
It's so depressing, and it just when you if you have been an elite sports person at all, and you look at people like your Sam Whitelocks, those guys that play at the highest level well into their 30s, it's really impressive. It's really impressive to keep that level of drive. I've never lost a drive. Always try to compete every day, but you've be able to keep your body in good enough nick, and just to be able to do it week in, week out. I bloody get injured walking out the door when I was playing in New Zealand. So, it's really impressive. And those sorts of guys that can have that long career at the highest level, it's bloody impressive.
Yeah, and even Jimmy Goffith, I saw he's still going around, 41?
Impressive. He's done a great job up there. I almost had the chance to join him in 2014 or 15 or something it was, but decided to stay at the Mighty Lupus. It would have been nice to go over there for a year.
Imagine that. Oh, yeah, man, he has done it well. He's still going. But I am keen to get to your journey and start from the start, as I always like to do. I know you grew up in Tokoroa, where about 100 plus professional rugby players or athletes or sports people have come out of. Somehow this place just continues to produce them.
The land of hard men, I think. The town built on forestry and then the pulp and paper mill and farmers. So I grew up in Tokoroa. I started at the age of 5, sort of for the Cargill Bears.
Oh, yeah.
My school team, but I represented Tokoroa Rugby Football Club. So there was 3 clubs in town. There was the Old Boys, Tokoroa, and Pirates. Pirates was sort of all the sort of roughies. So where your bikies and your gang members. Tokoroa Rugby Union was the police. So the goody two shoes, which was kind of me, and then the Old Boys were sort of the leftovers, and my dad was a pirate. They always wanted to take me to Pirates, but I chose Tokoroa, and they represented the black and whites. But they've all since joined now, and remember Isaac Boss,
Oh yeah.
one of the great Mooloo halfbacks. He's running things down there and doing a great job for the South Waikato. And then from there, with high school rugby, was just at Forest High School. Never really played first 15. I only played a few games. I was pretty small and pretty young. And year 11 was when I got my first real taste of anything serious. So I played in it was the first time they ever had a trial down in Tokoroa for the Waikato team.
Oh,
It was Waikato under 16s. So I had this trial. I actually made the team and went away to played a few games and then went away to camp up north for the tournament. And we played Auckland in the last game, and after that they named the New Zealand under 16s team. Now we didn't play a game at all. We just ended up flying down to Palmerston North. And that was the first sort of time that I thought, like I always wanted to be a All Black and be a rugby player, but it's the first time that I thought, well, it's actually not that far away.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, went down. There's a few guys down there. Was Jamie McIntosh there? Jeremy Thrush was there. Hick Elliott.
Oh yeah.
A couple of boys that come through my sort of year. And that was the first sort of dip into the pro rugby.
So you made that team?
Yeah, it was just the paper side.
Yeah.
You know, I think we played a game against each other down there at that horrible place in Palmerston North,
Irans.
Oh my God. I mean, it's great, right? But
Yeah.
When you roll up there on the bus and you know that you've got all the testing to be done,
Yeah.
you know, your gym testing, you're running, and you see the track on the way, and you're like, it's time to go home. So that was kind of me. But probably the biggest moment, I'll talk about this guy later, probably, was sitting on the bus for the Waikato under 16s heading up north, and my coach at the time said, "Hey, ever considered moving up to Hamilton to play?"
Oh yeah.
Because that was my last year of school, second last year of school. You know, it's like, "Oh, what do you want to do?" I said, "Oh, look, I want to be a builder." He goes, "Well, if I can get you into an apprenticeship, would you consider coming up here and playing for a club and, you know, playing with and against better footballers?" So, then that was probably the moment that changed my life. And so, yeah, so New Zealand 16, so that's when I got my first real taste. And then that next year moved up to Hamilton to play for Te Rapa, the Red and Blues, in the Waikato. That was just under 21s club rugby at that stage. And I was fortunate enough from there. I made sort of next year after that, made New Zealand under 19s, and then did a couple of years of 21s. And then, yeah, I was pretty blessed with, I never really missed any of those sort of age groups coming. I didn't play secondary schools, but because I left school before year 13,
Yeah.
I left at year 12. But you know, I had a pretty good run as far as, you know, being given the best opportunity to be where I am now.
And were you working really hard at this point to become a professional rugby player, or were you more talented?
No, rugby for me was a passion and a love.
Yeah.
And I wanted to be an All Black more than anything. And that was sort of based probably off the back of my dad. So my dad loved rugby. He still loves rugby. He still watches my old team's club games.
Oh yeah.
He's a diehard.
Yeah.
Right. So still rings me after All Black Test to talk about it. And, you know, from the age of probably 5, he worked at the pulp and paper mill. He'd steal scaffold from work and put rugby posts up on the front lawn.
Oh, true.
So everyone on the street or around us knew that people coming over, so I got the house with the rugby post. So everyone knew where we were.
Yeah.
And we'd have massive rugby days with all the neighbours. And so I had a real passion for rugby early on. Dad would take us out of school for the midweek games, you know, so that for all the Mooloo diehards, you know, go to the 1993 Ramfleet Shield versus Auckland, go to the Lions in 92, the Springboks, stuff like that.
Yeah.
Really, really special stuff. And so he sort of gave me the love for the game early on.
Oh, that's cool. And then was it when you made that New Zealand under 16 side that you felt like this could potentially be a pathway might not be building anymore?
Yeah, well, I had that conversation with my coach on the way up, and then when that team was named after the tournament, it made me think, well, I am on the right path right now.
Yeah.
And of course, for me, it would have been easy to stay home and stay with my mum and stay with my friends, but I was really committed to trying to give it the best shot. And because of that, I went home, I talked to my mum, probably that as soon as I got back, and I said, "Oh, what do you think? I'd like to go," and she was all for it. So, finished school that year and then moved up to Hamilton and had a crack.
And how'd you find it?
Man, I loved it. I was still a kid, even playing 21s. I was only 17. And but I wasn't a big 17-year-old at that stage, and I really loved the challenge. It took me a while to find my feet, and first year was good, and then I sort of, it's one of those things, sort of got more comfortable, got used to playing with guys, and we had a really great side up there. Made a lot of good friendships, and we probably outperformed for a young team. It was a Waikato. So sorry, this coach that took us, Stu Williams, he took a few of us from his age group sides and brought us to Te Rapa as well. So we were a young 21 side, but we all sort of went through together. So it was a really cool way to go through. And we weren't fortunate enough to win the 21 title, but we made the final. But it was a really great experience. Gave me a chance to grow up, being out of home. So I lived with him for sort of the coach for roughly 6 months, and then moved in with my brother, and my brother was a DJ. And so his work hours, I was coming home from work and training sort of at 8 o'clock at night. He'd be getting out of bed. He'd have his music pumping, getting ready for the night, and, Red Bulls or whatever he's on. And he'd be coming home at 4 o'clock in the morning doing the same thing. And I'd be up at 5. So we're locked ships in the night. But it gave me a real good chance to sort of stand on my own 2 feet. And, even just sometimes I look at my own kids and I think, my eldest wants to be a netball star, and, she's not outside shooting netballs. And I was always the kid that was outside kicking rugby balls.
Yeah.
And, I didn't need any encouragement to go to training. I always went to training and always did the right thing. So just interested in the mindset of, and you see, I think coaching a couple of the kids at her school in rugby, I've seen the sort of mindset of kids that have that elite mindset, that want to work hard, and you see it throughout your, even coaching at the highest level. There's those that are there, and there's that other group again that have that elite, will do anything and do what it takes to get there.
100%. And did you feel like you always had that? It was just sort of a natural drive within you.
Yeah, always had it.
Yeah,
always.
All right, that's cool.
If it's chopping wood, I'll chop wood until it's finished. If it's doing whatever it is, I like to start it, I like to finish it, and I like to do the best I can. It's just something I've always had.
How good's that? Jeez, give that to my kids. I'd love that. Love them to have some of that.
I wouldn't mind if they did a few dishes. We'll start there. Hey?
And you mentioned that you were small. When did you get bigger? Like you're a big human now.
Yeah, maybe I went away the end of 4th form.
Yeah.
And I was the smallest. I was still smaller than all the girls.
Oh, far out.
And then I came back for 5th form, and I was sort of eye level, or just above. I was like, okay, here we go. Here we go. And so, the greatest thing about being small for me was, and I played 10. I played 10 all the way through growing up until 17, really.
Oh, yeah.
Everyone used to run at me. And when I first started rugby, I was terrified tackling. I was terrified. And then I remember one day for my birthday, Dad bought me a Steve Renolf Madison headgear.
And you're safe.
One of the greats. And I felt like no one could hurt me.
Yeah.
And so from a really early age, I started being able to lay people out, way bigger than me. Like I used to hit from a young age. So the sort of headgear changed my life. And then, so when I got to sort of 5th form, 6th form, I was a big boy now, and it was, when you're hitting people, it added a bit more weight and you're doing a bit more damage. So it was great in those early days, to be small, because it worked on all my other skills, and then the size came later. But I was still probably only probably only 80 something to 85 kilos.
Oh,
I mean, that's probably what you are, Jimmy.
no, that was me at my prime.
Yeah. But I remember when I first made the Mooloos side in 2004. So it was John Mitchell.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have been there. I definitely should not have made the side.
What makes you say that?
Oh, I was too young. I wasn't good enough. But there was a number of injuries. I think, um, Regan,
King.
Regan King. Regan King had that osteitis pubis. Mark Ramby did his shoulder, and I think we lost somebody else. So it ended up being me. And I shouldn't have made it. Anyway, I made it. And I remember early days, Gordon Titchens asked me to come to a sevens camp.
Oh, yeah.
And I said, oh, yeah, I'll talk to Mitch. And I walked into Mitch's office, and I'm 89 kilos at the stage. I walked into Mitch's office, said, hey, Mitch, just talk to Titch. He just wants me to head over to the Mount for sevens camp. Do you mind if I go? And he turned his chair, looked me dead in the eyes and said, do you want to play for the All Blacks or do you want to play sevens? I said, oh, I want to play for the All Blacks. He said, get back in the gym, put some weight on. And that was it. So that's why I never ever had a crack at sevens. You know, Mitch told me that wasn't the way to go. So I never ever played sevens, and I never even considered playing because of that conversation.
Oh, that's interesting, eh? Well, obviously you worked eventually. Like you bulked up.
Got there eventually.
What would you have done now, looking back at it?
Yeah, I would have done the same thing. I think it would have been nice to play sevens, but I think 15s would have always been more my game. Although like there's a lot of aspects of sevens that would suit me.
Yeah.
I could tackle. I wasn't too slow, and I was really fit, so it probably would have suited me and my body style. But I just left 15 aside.
You mentioned around not really believing in yourself or not feeling like you deserve to be in there. But one thing Beaver said when I messaged him about you coming on, he said, you never lacked confidence. You were always really confident in your ability. So I don't know whether that was something that you sort of portrayed or how you were feeling deep down, but how'd you feel at the time?
Yeah, it's definitely something that I portrayed, but definitely not how I felt.
Yeah.
So this was obviously well before your sports doctors and your head doctors, and later in my career found that to be hugely beneficial.
Yeah.
And I really wish it was something earlier on. And it would have changed I think it would have completely changed my career. I definitely think I should have and could have done more for Chiefs, All Blacks. Not forgetting their injuries, but when I was playing, just having the confidence to back yourself and just to know that you deserve to be there and to actually go out and express yourself. And that's why I really like watching when you see Super Rugby now and you see guys, and I look at Damien and Anton when they first came in the Chiefs, they were already starting to throw these offloads, and I would have never considered that ever. I was always just trying to do the right thing, do the percentages, beat the shoulders, but now it's completely changed. And I'm not saying that other players don't have self-doubt, but there's a much more of a license to go out and express yourself and play the sort of footy that you want or that you can. So I would have benefited hugely from that.
What made you feel closed up around making the mistakes and being the percentages?
I think firstly, early on, I knew I shouldn't have been in that Mooloos side in 2004. And then when I got in there, it was still kind of that crossover between not old school, but that older school chain of rugby where there's the hierarchy and the guys at the bottom. And I love that about rugby, that you come in at the bottom, and you sit at the front of the bus. There's lots of stuff I love about it, but there's also, I think at the time where I came in, there was guys in the team that were amazing. Firstly, like your Todd Millers, and those guys are absolute working legends, and sort of made you feel comfortable and did their best to help you progress, because we're all in one team together, and this is how I've always felt. is that we're all here, whether you're the best in the team or the worst, we're all here to do the same job. If I can help bring the bottom up, that's great for everybody. And it wasn't so much like that at the start. And there's just a couple of guys really that made the experience a little worse than it needed to be. Not giving calls, just things like that. When you're somewhere where you already don't feel comfortable and then you're made to feel uncomfortable. So that set me back definitely. In those sort of first couple of years with the Mooloos in particular. But, and from that, really the best thing that ever happened to me was going down to the Highlanders, because I just had a change of players, change of scenery, and got to start to find out that there's other ways. People can tell you that you're not good enough.
Yeah.
There's good ways to have a professional conversation, or say, hey mate, I can help you with this, or do you need help with that, rather than the top down sort of version.
Before you went down there though, didn't you win NPC Player of the Year?
Yeah, that 2006 season was amazing for me. So
yeah,
made the Mooloos in 2004. And that was probably the biggest dream I ever had. Before playing for the All Blacks was representing the Mooloos. So that was us every weekend. Dad would drive us up to the games. I loved the Mooloos. So a couple of years there, sort of was on the Chiefs wider training group, 2005, 2006. 2005, I knew I had no chance of playing, no chance at all, and that was fine. So I just trained. That's 2.5 days, but you're in there 5 days, and every Saturday that they ask. And then 2006, I remember training, and we just finished a fitness session at the Rose Gardens in Hamilton, one of the glorious tourist hotspots of the mighty Tron. And it was just a week before the season we're about to go into the season week. And I got a call. I was in went back to my bag, went back to the lockers, and I had this phone call, called it back, and it was Greg O'Brien. Greg O'Brien's name on my phone, saying, hey mate, just wanted to call you, Paul William, the big boy fullback. Obviously had that, I think it was a tibia fracture in his leg.
That's right, yeah.
Whatever it was, had a horrible break. Poor bugger. So he had broken his leg, but had it repaired, but hadn't repaired properly. So they said, would you like to come down and play for us down here at the Highlanders? And, I went away and I was like, can I ever think? You'd think I would jump at it, but, I wanted to be a chief. I wanted to be, say, a Mooloo, a chief, an All Black. That's all I wanted to be. I didn't want to play anywhere else. Didn't want to go overseas. Just wanted to do that. And, sort of went away and talked to my coach, or my manager at the time, Stu Williams, and said, look, it's only going to be good for you. You've got a guaranteed full contract. You get to play every week, or, you'll get a few games. There's no guarantees here in the wider training group. So, I went down. I sat on the bench on the first game, and we played the Blues, and just watching Doug Howlett, Kevin Mialamu, like Joe Rokotoko, like these people that I absolutely idolise. And I know I played a few of them throughout NPC.
Yeah.
But to see them in a Blues jumper all together, it was like playing the All Blacks.
Yeah.
And so I got to sit on the bench, and then played the Crusaders the next week, sat on the bench. And I got my first taste when we were over in South Africa, but it was a really great experience, and probably the best decision I ever made. But that kind of led on. So 2006 I did that. I played Super Rugby to start the year, and that gave me a heap of confidence in myself and in my skills, at least.
Yeah.
Probably not the self-confidence to feel like I belong there, but at least in my what I was good at and what I wasn't. And then played the New Zealand Māoris. They sort of got ripped out of New Zealand 21s due to somebody being injured, and got elevated to Māoris, which was, again, a really great experience over in the United States with a great bunch of lads. Just a completely different tour than this is where I started, from coming from the Highlanders to the Māoris. Those two teams was where the sort of after hours and getting together as a team was just as important as what you did on the field.
Yeah.
And, I come from Australia 180, barely drunk, into those two teams, and it kind of, it was a shock for me. It was a shock. But it was a really great way to sort of learn about myself and what's good for me, what's not good for me, what my standards are, and what I'm prepared to do and not do and when.
Yeah.
And then came back in that 2006 season. We had a really great team. That Mooloos side, you can't compare across the generations, but we had, I think out of the starting 15, I think we ended up having 14 international players.
Far out. You don't get that anymore.
Yeah, so the only one that wasn't was Craig West, who's a prop, but everyone else had played either for Isaac Boss had Ireland, other guys in different countries, a bunch of All Blacks, and in the final we played Wellington, who had the same. They had Ma'anonu, Tana Umaga, Conrad Smith, Corey Jane, phenomenal players. It was. I think it was kind of, and a bit biased, of course, but I felt like it was one of those last great years of domestic footy, just where all the All Blacks were playing week in, week out.
Man, people miss that. I know so many people wish that we could still have that.
Oh, mate, it was the greatest competition. We were playing each other.
And then on the back of that, you make the Chiefs, obviously, with that form. Was it ever a decision for you to potentially start the Landers?
No, I got offered to stay at the Landers, so those were the days too with the draft. You had to sign for the host province, which was Otago or one of them down there. So I had a really great offer. It was more money than I'd ever looked at in my life. But like I said, I just wanted to play for the Mooloos. And if it was the Mooloos, then the Highlanders, I might have looked at it a little bit differently, but I wasn't going to change from a province. I love the Mooloos. So I was always going to stay, but like those, funny when you took the money, like money is such a big factor, and when you consider you have to make a career out of rugby and things, and I didn't really consider it, but I was coming from a academy, so I was in the academy when I moved up for sort of 3 years, and I did it around work, so I would do sort of 5:30 in the morning or 5 o'clock in the morning, train and get to work 6:30, work all day, come back and train at night. I'd get home around 7, 8 o'clock, and I'd get Wednesday off, not work, but off training, and it's with the washing day. But then for $2,000, not a week, a year. So, that's the hard part of pro rugby is just trying to break through.
Yeah.
It's you don't have all the things that you're meant to have as a pro rugby player: rest, sleep, the right diet. Yeah. It's the complete opposite, and it was a real tough time. But it formed a lot of great habits for me, and being able to push myself, get up. This morning I didn't want to get up, but you're responsible for yourself, your own actions, and if that's what you really want, and you're going to do it. You're going to have to find a way to do it.
Yeah.
So it was hard, but I'm really grateful that I did that sort of time struggling, because it didn't bother me. I didn't have any money, and as I played, it wasn't about the money.
Yeah.
I just wanted to be a Mooloo, the chief, and All Black, and that's all I really wanted.
That mental resilience that's the thing you're training, as that young guy. Yeah.
Yeah. And that's one thing I don't know how to sneak that through to my kids now.
Yeah.
Well,
if you find out, let me know.
Yeah. They just don't have the hardships, or, like my daughter the other day was at bounce, and my wife's running over to the net with the drink bottle so she doesn't have to come out. Just come on, man. She's not going to die first. Let it go. So yeah, it was a really great time for me, that sort of becoming professional, and then sort of into that 2006 season was when everything sort of came together.
And were you working on an apprenticeship at that time as well?
Yeah, so I started my apprenticeship straight out of school. So that was 2002. I started that.
And did you finish that?
Yeah, man. So I did it. I did plenty of hours. So for 3 years straight, before the rugby sort of came knocking.
Yeah.
And then I sort of did 6 months rugby, 6 months building.
Yeah.
But I'd work Saturdays before club games. I'd work from 6:30 till lunchtime, and then get to the 1:30 game and play. And it was just what I had to do. I was getting $298 a week for 57 hours work, Jimmy. Who would get out of bed for that now? Bring back a minimum wage. So it was tough, but I got it sorted. It took me a couple of years to actually get my actual qualification, just because I went away to rugby and didn't formally finish, and then just as things are, they wanted me to come back and do a few things because they didn't want it to look like I hadn't done what I was meant to do. And then my argument was always, hey, I've done it.
Yeah.
I shouldn't have to do more because I play rugby,
Yeah.
But we got there in the end. It was really good. And it's one thing that's, I've always been grateful for, that I have that. It's always made me feel better. And I always wanted to be a builder.
Yeah.
I was really grateful to get it finished. And then now here I am, and that's when I need to. I go to work and throw a hammer around, and it's a really great day for me.
Yeah. Well, mate, it's definitely helped you with your, obviously, post-footy transition, hasn't it? You've been able
definitely.
to jump straight into it. You're playing AFL and you're sorted. Life's good.
Yeah, life is good, mate. Sitting here in the sun, getting a tan day to day.
Living the GC dream. But one thing I want to talk about is your injuries. I think was it post 2006 where it all sort of started? You had some terrible run of injuries.
Yeah. So end of 2006, I'm at a stage where I've sort of, by this stage, sort of shaken off the that not feeling good enough thing, at least with the Mooloos and the Chiefs. And then we come to that 2007 season, and in the preseason we play the Canes actually down, I think down somewhere. I can't remember exactly where. And I went to make a tackle on my left shoulder and ended up with a labral tear.
Oh yeah.
And I didn't think I was sore. I didn't think much of it. I thought it'll come right. We sort of tried to rehab it over the couple of weeks. A month went by, wasn't getting better. Came back and tried to play a game. I think I might have played one game that year, but whether it was club rugby or super, and I one touch and then my arm was numb, couldn't lift it. So I wasted kind of 5 months trying to rehab it, and then went in for an operation and got it sorted. But that was sort of the start. So I think I ended up with 5 full reconstructions.
Far out.
Not on that shoulder. I had 3 each. So I had 5 full ones and one sort of touch up, if you want to call it a touch up.
Far out.
So that was 2007, 9, 10, 12, 13, and 12 twice.
Shit.
So for me, like I said, I'd come sort of work through that, not having the confidence and the belief. I sort of worked through that, and I come to the spot now. And that 2007 season, I thought, right, it's a chance for me to actually really have a crack. And then, if you talk to anybody that's had injuries, Jimmy, you've had a couple, it stuns everything that you've built up to that point. So your confidence and your skill, you start back at 30. So 6 months out of the game, you don't touch a ball not seriously for 4 months. You're just in the gym. You go from being with the team every day, and it's probably a little different nowadays, but there's 2 physios looking after 30 blokes. They don't have time for you during the day. So you sort of slot in and around outside or after the team. You don't train with the team anymore. So it gets pretty hard. Staying obviously mentally focused and staying mentally well. And when you come back, you don't come back where you left. You come back a year behind where you were, And so for me, I come back start 2008, and I was really lucky to have a full run that year. And I didn't play that well for the Chiefs to start the year. I got better as the year went on, but when you come back for those injuries, it's so hard to get back in a groove. And as the sort of the back end of my New Zealand career, I had so many back to back that I just never felt like I was good enough.
Yeah. How hard was it mentally to go through all those?
Yeah, it was hard. I think 2009, I think was the one for me. So 2007, I got injured, came back 2008, played. That's the first year I made the All Blacks.
Yeah.
Lived my absolute dream for a year, and then rolled into that next Super Rugby, that 2009. And for the Chiefs, we'd not had a year like it. We lost those first 3 games, and then we got on our typical sort of Chiefs run. So you could almost guarantee most years we'd lose the first 2 out of 3 or 3 out of 3. I don't know what it was. And then we got hot and we won everything. Couldn't be beat. until we lost like 60 points in Pretoria, but that's tough. um, um, and I felt like end of the 2009, I actually felt like I was good. Like, yeah. I can have a real crack now. I didn't deserve to be in the All Blacks, how I felt. How everyone feels, I think, when they first get in there.
Mm.
But that 2009 season, I was like, yeah, I feel great. I've got all these things to add. You get to play, Conrad Smith, Isai Toyama, all these guys during the year, Tamati Ellison, and you think, okay, I'm going all right here. I'm not being embarrassed. He's winning some things, I'm winning some things. So you build that confidence, and so I sort of thought end of that year I'd roll straight into that All Black season and have a really good crack after experiencing my first year, but got injured in that final.
Oh, the final.
Yeah, in the final, sort of, I think had it with about 5 minutes to go.
Oh,
yeah, and then so then it was me for another sort of 6-8 months, and it was just sort of the cycle for me. I'd get up and running, get back flying again, and then off the rails.
Did you ever contemplate pulling pin on the game, or did it ever get to that point?
Not on the game, but on New Zealand, and ultimately that's what sent me overseas.
Yeah, true. But obviously a bit late. Like you hung in there for a long time. With five shoulder reconstructions later, you weren't giving up easy.
No, but just I was living my dream.
Yeah.
And like I said, it wasn't about the money, but you're playing for the All Blacks and making decent money. And I was spending it wisely. And just the thought of wearing the black jersey is the only thing, and playing for the Chiefs and playing for the Mooloos, that's all I wanted to do and all I cared about. And there was offers to go overseas, and I was like, I don't want to. There's no need for me to. Like, I know I'll rehab this, I'll get it right. And the doctor would say to me, the Craig Ball was my surgeon. I think I bought him a boat on all the commission he got out of my shoulders. He'd say, I think the re-injury rate for a shoulder was something like 7%. It was low, right?
Yeah.
So you go, so he's fixed this one, and then the second one was my right one. It's like, oh, you're done now. And then this one went again, and then so I sort of took confidence out of what he said, that like, oh, it's fixed now, you'll be right. Just rehab it properly. And if I did anything differently, I think I would try some alternative, not therapies, but alternative therapies, alternative training. I just did what physio said, which is obviously what we all should do, but I never really considered thinking outside of that. And I think there's some value in, other people's opinion and other therapies that aren't all Western, or after being in Japan.
Did they ever work out like why it was? Why did you have so many?
No, No, I just think it's just a genetic thing, I think some guys do knees, constantly doing knees. Some guys constantly doing hamstrings.
Yeah.
Mine just happened to be shoulders, and to be fair, the way I played probably didn't lend itself to dodgy shoulders. I put them in as hard as I could, and that's sort of what made me, was my sort of point of difference when I would go into teams, and with my defence and strength of defence. But then that was also what kept me out at the same time with the injuries.
Yeah, was that ever a consideration for yourself around, I'm going to come back, but I'm not going to throw myself into collisions like that. I'm going to play like someone else?
It was the only time I really considered it. It happened once. And so the last one I did, I injured it 2012. This one, sorry. So the full dislocation popped out the front. It happened at Suncorp against the Reds on the Chiefs 2012, which great year, 2012 for the Chiefs. And then, so that was my season done. Rehabbed it, and I was actually in tears. I remember sitting under Suncorp bawling, right? Like, not again. Going through all this shit enough. Why can't I get a break? It's not like I'm missing rehab. It's not like I'm doing everything I'm meant to do. So we flew back in to Auckland, went home, and I remember driving in the driveway, got on the phone. It was late. It might have been 10 o'clock at night, and I called my agent, Kent Hale. And I was like, Kent, I got to get out of here. I can't do this anymore. And then from there, I so I think it was less than a week later, Toshiba said, yep, we want you to come over and have a look. So normally they just send a contract or contract offer. But they're like, no, we want you to fly over. We want you to come and look around. Because I was injured, I'd had my surgery. I said, yeah, I think I waited a couple of weeks until I was out of the sling and went over. It had a great tour of Toshiba, and they took us out, wined and dined us. It was kind of the old school way it used to be done. And then I was meant to see a couple other clubs while I was up there, and I was just like, this feels like a cheap side to me. You know, it had Stephen Bates, David Hill, Michael Leach, the Japan captain.
Yeah.
So it had a Mooloo connection in there as well. So Scott McLeod used to play there, so it felt like home. So sort of committed to going there, flew home, rehabbed, got ready for the 2013 season, and then the same thing happened again. I played one game. I said, geez, my shoulder's not right. I went to catch a ball at training, and the ball's hit my hand. And as it hit my hand, my pec snapped from where they'd fixed it. So I definitely heard it in the game. Because I came off at half time. I said, look, something's not right. It's not worth pushing. And yeah, I remember standing, calling for the ball from TKB. It must have been the speed of his pass, I reckon.
Right, he is a good bullet.
He does. And it's hit me in the hand, yeah, and it's just snapped my pec. And so I wasn't, coming back to your question, I wasn't meant to be going to Japan because they were going to cancel the contract. And so it kind of worked out.
Oh, wow.
We sort of negotiated that changed the format of my contract. So I ended up going. So the first game over there, we're playing Toyota down in Osaka. And so we'd had this conversation, my wife and I, about how, okay, I'm not going to fly into anything. Just going to take it easy. First, they put me on the wing just to get my first game. Kick-off goes. We kick off, and I've just fly as hard as I can. And I feel sorry. I can't remember the winger's name. He's caught the ball front on.
Yeah.
He's caught me as he's caught the ball at full speed, and I've just absolutely poleaxed him. And a great game. It was good to get back into it. And I just worked out that I can't dial that back.
Yeah, there's only one speed.
It's just instinct. So I'm glad I never did, but I remember getting into the shed after the game and all the messages from my wife. What are you doing, idiot? That's not what we talked about. But yeah, I never considered it. I considered it for when I first got to Japan just to try and, prolong things. But I just decided that if it's not meant to be, it's not meant to be. And, you can't defy your DNA. And, my DNA is to just go as hard as I can.
Oh, that's so good. That's so funny. But we do need to rewind a little bit back to your All Blacks.
Yes.
Big part of your career, obviously, here in New Zealand was the 2011 World Cup, where you do manage to get a bit of a string of injury-free footy to obviously earn a spot into that side. What was that leading up to that World Cup like for you?
Yeah, it was really great. So obviously Conrad was the guy. He was the guy the whole time I was in and around the All Blacks. And that 2011 year, I'd sort of got enough confidence in myself, my own ability at that stage. And at the start of the year, I sort of wrote down all these goals, and I feel like I just want to be the starting 13 for the All Blacks. Like, not week in, week out. I want to be the guy. I wanted them to look at the team and say, yep, Dan, Richie, Ma, me. That's what I want. So sort of planned out how that had to happen. And, I didn't actually have a great 2011 season Super Rugby, but I went to Sitiveni Sivivatu was my training partner, and Wayne Smith had rung me up and said, hey, look, you've got to make sure he's fit. And so I'm sending you guys over to the Mount to train with the Sevens team.
Oh, yeah.
I was like, why? I guess I want you to go, so he goes.
Yeah. So
I take him over there, and I've never blown a hamstring in my life, and I full blew. It was pouring rain in the mud, and City dropped the ball. I went to take off and get it and blew my hamstring.
Oh,
so I didn't play any of the Tri Nations. I played one game of the Tri Nations. So they sort of goal of knocking Snakey off.
Yeah.
All things like I never really had lower leg injuries.
Always
it was all shoulders. So, sort of, I didn't have the opportunity to put pressure on him.
Yeah.
We went and played over in Port PE Port Elizabeth. They named the World Cup side there, and we came back, and I just thought, oh, well, I was fortunate enough to be in the World Cup side. Again, I probably didn't have enough runs on the board to be there. Pick me in front of Jose Guerre, Siddhaveni Sivivatu. It was at a time where, because of what had happened in 2009 and 10 with the bombs, the wingers, the Brian Habanas and then Ghani's chasing kicks and the box kicks, the wingers' role kind of changed from being just an all-out attack to be able to catch on. Not that those players couldn't, but it was a strength of mine. And that sort of, I got to that World Cup, didn't really expect to play. I thought, I'll play Japan, maybe Canada, and then that might be my lot. But fortunately, I've had a few runs on the board playing on the wing. So, 2008, I played 2 or 3 tests maybe 2 tests on the wing as cover, for Leon McDonald, who had he was having those concussion symptoms. So that gave me an opportunity there. And then 2010, I played a couple, 9, I played a couple, 10, I played a couple. So it wasn't a huge shock when they asked me to play on the wing, but I thought, well, here's an opportunity that I'm not going to get. And as that World Cup went, Snake was out of this world.
Yeah.
Like I've always thought Conrad is a high quality singer. And he'd always played well, always done his job. But that 2011 Cup, we went to another level. It was impressive. And so I, even just watching him after the first couple of games, like, there's no way I'm going to get a good look in here. So my opportunity was on the wing, and I'm really grateful for that. I never saw myself as a winger, but I can see why parts of my skill set and my ability lent itself to playing wing in that World Cup.
Yeah.
It definitely wouldn't do me any good now. I think with the way wingers are, they're catching more crossfield kicks and we're asking wingers to do a bit more with the ball, probably outside of my area of expertise. But it was a really great opportunity. But that 2011 World Cup was so special, and I think that the best thing about it was seeing the country completely united, not just behind us, but behind the whole Rugby World Cup. It was incredible.
Yeah. Oh, special memories, like far out.
The bus trips. Yeah. I remember driving to the stadiums and hundreds and thousands of people lining the streets. And I did set, when I watched remember the documentary that came out, about the World Cup.
Yeah. Not the kick, the proper.
No, not the kick. not that thing. I can't remember the name of it, but I remember after a couple of months sitting down to watch it, I just started crying.
Yeah.
Just thinking about the emotions that went with it, because we never really got a chance you don't really look back and decompress or really think about all the moments through it. You kind of, we're under so much pressure to win it, and then we won it, we partied and left.
Yeah.
So it was surreal, and then going back afterwards and having looking back in hindsight, it's just it was a really special thing we did, and I was so proud as a Kiwi, not of what we did on the field, but what we did as a nation, the way we adopted teams, and the people. You drive down the streets of South Auckland, there'd be Samoan flags, Tongan flags, All Black flags. It was a really incredible time to be a Kiwi.
Yeah. Oh, so cool. And you, how are you feeling at this point? Like you've been through a lot. You've had a shitload of injuries. Your form's been, up and down through those injuries. How are you feeling with the whole country behind you, starting on a wing and knockout rugby? What's your mental state like?
Yeah, I felt really great. So, fortunately for me, by this stage, I'd been using the services of Dave Galbraith.
Oh, yeah.
Mental skills extraordinaire, and then obviously Gilbert Anoka. So 2 guys so highly respected in what they do, and it just started, and it was sort of 2010. I had the worst year of my life playing. I was terrible. I could not catch the ball. I was actively trying to avoid the ball by hitting rucks and other things, because I was struggling for confidence. I'd just come off another shoulder.
Yeah.
And I remember Smithy rang me. This is like a game to go in the season. I was injured. I wasn't going to play it. And he said, "Hey, you need a big one this week. Otherwise, I don't think you're going to make it." So the bad news for this, I'm not playing. So and all he said, "Oh, well, good luck for selection. And that was it, and I was like, all right, well, I sort of, thought right there and there, this sort of All Black career, and that was done. But fortunately enough, I shouldn't have had, I was really lucky throughout my career not to get the sort of ridicule of someone like Stephen Donald had. There's times that I should have been treated like that because I wasn't, but I never did. But anyway, made the camp, and I sat down with Gilbert and with Smithy, and it was just one conversation, and there was nothing really special said. But that conversation, a couple of the clips we watched, I went from a mindset of being lucky to be there and just don't do anything wrong, to thinking that I was elite and world class. I walked out of thinking, how did that happen? How do you make someone feel like that?
Yeah.
And then I played 3 really good games that year, got injured again, another shoulder, but that sort of set me up. And the moment, and I still use it now, and I can't swear on here, but it's the bucket moment. Sounds like bucket.
Yeah.
And that was from Dave Galbraith. And when you start having those self-doubts and you start second-guessing yourself, you just say bucket, and just spin it. So I just started saying it in my own head, but not bucket, but you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And it changed. It just changed everything about how I approached everything. Whenever I feel uncomfortable now, it's like bucket, I'm on it, and it's really changed. And it changed a lot of how I see myself and how I am when I feel a little bit anxious or a little bit nervous. Or, it's some really good skills, and this is the strength of nowadays. And I know some people don't buy into it or whatever, but I can't speak highly enough of it.
Yeah, mate, that's so cool, and it seems so simple, but so effective in what it can do to like change your whole mindset around mistakes and errors. It is incredible.
It is. Well, it's the one thing that controls everything.
Yeah.
Yeah. It just makes no sense that we don't do anything to make it better or stronger, get those reps in. So it's, fortunately enough to come across those two. And so at that end of the 2011 season, obviously just won a World Cup, felt really positive. Renz and Smithy came into the Chiefs, and it was a fresh change after having Fozzie, and I really love Fozzie as a coach. But it was a fresh change, and I felt like, all the sort of currency that you built up with the other coach is gone.
Yeah. And
you're back to zero. And we had a Chiefs side that had a lot of young names that hadn't really, like your Brody Retalix.
Yeah.
No one really knew who was. Aaron Cruden was this tiny little kid from down the way. And, we had all these guys that were just turning up and doing their bit. And we created something really special in that 2012 year at the All Blacks off the back of, some of us older guys that had come back, but all these new guys coming through, and a lot of them had a really elite mindset too, like your Sam Canes, Brody Retalix, Aaron Cruden. I remember Aaron Cruden giving me a spray 4 weeks into the season in a meeting. I was like, okay, but I liked it. I liked that he felt comfortable enough to say it to me. I felt that he was comfortable enough to say it in front of everyone.
Yeah.
And it was just a bit bad ball placement. I get it.
Yeah.
It's all, when you do something like that, and not that I was a senior, like,
yeah, I know. Yeah.
I was a more senior player, but when you do something like that in front of your peers and everyone sees that it's okay, it sort of barriers come down, and so it made for a really good year. We were able to talk to each other openly and honestly, and set the real high expectations and standards, and that's where the Jeff the Māori and the Chiefs Mana was born.
Oh, how was that born?
It's actually our sort of leadership group put it together, but it was off the back of Tana Umang.
Oh yeah.
And so he played with us in 2011, and he talked. We were down at a camp in Taupo, and he said something, and no one really picked up on it at the time. He said, we've got this Chiefs emblem here, but he's got no legs.
Oh yeah.
So how do we know where he's going? Something along that. And conversation kept going around and sort of went a different path, right? And it just always sat with me. And then I remember we came into 2012. I'm not saying I'm the reason Jeff is Jeff, but I said, hey, what about this? And then we talked about putting legs on them, and what are our legs for? They're obviously for standing, right? And so what's important is that we had an I leg and a we leg. So for us to stand as a team, I as an individual have to do things, and these are the things I'm going to commit to, and then we as a team have to do the same, and sort of put this thing together. And what Rens and Smithy did really well, and what they're world class at, is obviously the man management side, but also creating a picture and a story. And we were part of a story, and the story was, so we had this Jeff the Māori, we had haka practice. We did a triathlon from, I think we started in Waihi and worked our way over to Raglan.
Oh shit, yeah.
Yeah, so we stopped along the way, stopped at a couple of maraes, went to a couple of culturally significant spots around the Mooloo country.
Yeah.
And it sort of tied it all in. Our attack and our defence was named, Pawa and Tainui, and all had just all tied in really well, and it just created something that we all bought into. And so Jeff was born. I think Liam Messam actually named Jeff.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, it was born out of that 2012 season, but from an idea from Tāna Umanga.
And then recreated by you, and you end up winning the comp that year.
Yeah, we won well, I was sitting in the stand because I was injured again. It's a lot of my stories. I'm watching from the sideline. But for me, that was probably, and it seems funny, like the World Cup win was the biggest moment of my rugby career, obviously.
Yeah.
But there was something different about the Chiefs one. For a team that I'd been a part of for so long, I've supported for so long.
Yeah.
We'd never won a title. And as you move through a team and you move into like a more experienced leadership, whatever you want to call it, you have more input day to day. So you feel like you got more skin in the game, and, I was preparing clips. And then when I got injured, I was basically moved into the office full time, and I was helping Smithy and Rens with their attack and D. And, so when we won that, even though I didn't play, I felt like that feeling you must feel as a coach, where you get the satisfaction's not the same as playing. It's a different feeling, but it's just as special.
Yeah. And
that's what I felt. I felt I got the both sides, half as a player, half as a coach. It was a really, really great year. Obviously backed it up the next year too. And, it was a really, really great couple of years at the Chiefs there, and, Rens did a really great job of building a winning culture, because, we're always there or thereabouts in the finals year after that.
Yeah. Hearing you speak like that, I saw that quote around Rico Ioane say how much that Blues title meant, probably more than a World Cup title for him, and how much slack he got around saying that. But hearing you speak like that, I get it. Like,
yeah,
all that skin he's put in the game, and his home region, all that sort of thing. It all adds up into what you feel is what's really important to you. Eh?
Yeah, and you spend your lifetime supporting a side.
Yeah.
Like I said, I love the red, yellow, and black, whichever form it is, Chiefs or the Mooloos. And they always supported them. Was there when they won. I was sitting up on a camera tower in 1992 when they won. And, then I was able to be there when we won for the Mooloos in 2006. But then the Chiefs, we never had that. We never won one. Went to plenty of games, never saw us win a title. And then 2012 to be able to deliver it to everybody that had supported us all the way through. And it's probably the first time as well that we were really connected to our region. I felt we made a huge effort to go out, train at schools, and go to events, and our faces were out in the community, helping people, being around people, coaching kids rugby. We were part of the community, and the community were part of us. And I know when you win, you get crowds, but it felt like we were all doing it together, just the whole franchise and the whole region. And that's what made it pretty special. It's the same sort of feeling around 2011. Although there was only 23 blokes on the field, there's 30 blokes in the squad. There's 6 or 5 million, whatever it was at the time, people behind us. And we really felt that everyone was with us. So it was pretty special.
Yeah, so cool. And you mentioned why you left to Japan. Was that harder because of the Chiefs' success at the time? Or you were just done?
Yeah, well, See, I signed before we'd even won those 2 titles. So I've injured this in, I think, like April.
Oh, yeah.
And so then I signed maybe a month after.
Oh, yeah.
And so when we won those 2 titles, there's a huge part. I never wanted to leave New Zealand.
Yeah.
And it really wasn't the money. The money helped me make the decision, but it wasn't about the money. It was just, I just couldn't deal with the emotional stress, and like I was a wreck. After I just rehabbed the 2010, hurt myself in the All Blacks, after playing 2-3 games. All right. And I played well, but got injured. So, and came back 2012, kind of was getting back. And then, no, it wrecked me. And then I tried to get right from 2012. It took me 9 months, played 1 game, did it again. So it was a really easy, logical decision for me. So I said, look, I can't do this anymore. I'm either genetically, whatever, emotionally, I'm not strong enough to do this. So I'm going to go and see how it goes somewhere else. Yep. Maybe make some extra money, but, just try something different. And the Japan experience, I will be forever grateful for, not just for the house on the canal, but, just the extension it gave me to my career, gave me the love of rugby back again, and put me back on the path of eventually getting me back to Super Rugby.
Yeah. Well, what, 7 years you're over there?
Yeah.
Basically injury free, was it? Like
oh my God.
Somehow something changed. What?
Oh, I don't know, man. You know what? You know what it is. And I think me personally, obviously I had a genetic issue or technique issue, whatever. But you go over to Japan, first year we played 12 games. Actually, the team played 12 games. I played 6.
Yeah.
The year after that, 12 games maybe.
Yeah.
And the year after that, 2015, we played 7 games and we played the final.
Crazy, yeah.
That was the season. It was a shortened year because Super Rugby. So I think just the amount, the short seasons and the really long pre-season. So I was getting 3 months off, 4 months off. So you just rest. Like you don't do that in Super Rugby or in playing in New Zealand. That's the big advantage of playing overseas, well, playing in Japan anyway, is that you get the time, you get downtime, you get longer pre-seasons. So, like, you think if you're a Rico Ioane or a Damien McKenzie, or you're going from Super Rugby, week off, All Blacks, week off, 2 weeks off, India tour, and it's just a cycle where you're really just on a maintain regime. So, I think it's just the time. Obviously, different athletes over there. When I first got there, it was only 2 foreigners on the field. So that made a difference. We're playing 112 kilo Julian Savia or 85 kilo Yamamoto. I know which option I prefer.
And you would have seen the growth of the competition over there as well, like 7 years. It'd grow from, like you said, when there was 2 foreigners to start to probably 5 when you left. Yeah,
I was really lucky to go over when I did, I think, because it was not a strong competition, but there was a lot of pride around the teams. But I think it was a really clear difference between the top 4 and the rest. I know the Coca-Cola Sparks struggled a bit.
Oh, a few tough years there.
Had a few rough ones here, boys. But there's a really clear difference. But there wasn't a huge crowds, but you'd get your regular sort of 6,000 or 7,000. But then 2015, Japan goes to the World Cup and beats the Springboks, the Brighton Miracle. We come back that year and every stadium is chocker.
Far out, straight after
every
that,
stadium.
Yeah.
And we made the final that year, so it was an unbelievable year. And guys like Michael Leach and Goro Maru, those sorts of guys become icons where no one even knew who they were beforehand. Leachy by the stage had probably already played 40 tests or 50 tests for Japan.
Yeah.
And so we were getting massive crowds week on week. People were starting to support top league, and then with that, they changed the rules a little bit later where we started to bring in more foreigners. And I think with that, the level of rugby went up, more foreign coaches, the whole competition sort of lifted.
How did your family find it over there?
You know what? We had a young family. So it was fine. The 2 girls were born. So we've got Addie, who is 8 now, Scarlett, soon to be 11, Jake is 9. The 2 girls were born there. Jake just happened to fall in the break, so he was back in Sydney.
Oh, yeah.
But it was fine. We lived in an apartment really close to the city, our Fuchu city. Everything's accessible. It's really made for young families. So you put all your kids on the bike and ride everywhere. And we had a really great time there. And my wife and I knew the purpose of being there. So we knew we were going there. I was trying to extend my career. And by the stage after these couple of years, worked out that body's going all right. And then we thought, okay, how do we best maximize, the financial part of this? Main focus of being there was play well, but for me to play well, it was really important that my family were happy.
Yeah.
And so the club was really good around giving us time to go home, and which initially my wife had home quite regularly. And it was a conversation with her dad, and he said, well, you decide to be there, you run it together. You need to pull your head in and dig in.
Yeah.
And so we sort of came back and we had a different mentality, and it was great. The kids loved it. It's a really great place. Food is great. It's safe. I don't have a bad thing to say about Japan unless you're trying to sign up for a new phone or go through any sort of paperwork. then it's an absolute nightmare. They are admin central. But outside of that, it's a really great place, and I'll be forever grateful for my time at Toshiba, and just to see them this year. Actually get some decent foreigners with Richie Mo and Zal, and they won the top league this year. It's a really proud moment.
Yeah, so cool. And you obviously would have been fluent, especially by the back end.
Yeah, well, when you say fluent, I try to do as much as I could in Japanese.
Yeah,
and I ended up captaining for 2 years. So, but when you say fluent, I'd get up and give these company speeches. Where you have the rallies. I don't know if you guys had them down in Coca-Cola, where they'd get 200 odd workers from the factory, and we'd have a beer and something to eat, and captain would speak. And so I'd write it down and I'd study it, because I can ad lib, right? But under pressure, sometimes what goes in here doesn't come out my mouth, and so it took a lot of study, and I had to work really hard at it. It wasn't something that was really natural for me, but I'm really glad that I had the opportunity to be captain of the side firstly, and to push myself to try and speak Japanese. And one of my great mates over there, Japanese boys, his name's Yoshikazu Morita. His English is really great. He actually stayed with me at the Chiefs a year before I went over as part of they sent him over here as an exchange just by chance. Yeah. And I said, why don't you guys come stay with me? And we'd stand in the huddle, and I'd try and give these rousing speeches. And I just look at him, and if he feels nodding, I'm like, yeah, I've got this. I'm nailing it. And then sometimes he'd give me this one. He'd just shake the head saying, nah. And so I'd sort of tail off and go quiet, then he'd sort of pick it up where I left off. So it was really great. I've made some really great friendships there, and it's a real shame that COVID hit the way it did, because we had a day. We had a day to decide whether we were going to stay or go. And with my family were back here in the Gold Coast, so I decided I had to go.
How long were they in the Gold Coast before you moved?
We bought a place here in 2017.
Yeah.
2018, something like that. So we'd been here another couple of years, and then just we found out my son was severely autistic. We knew before we had the diagnosis, but we had to wait sort of 2 years to get our official diagnosis. So we kind of decided, I'd already signed my contract for that year. So Amy and the kids came home, and I sort of basically did fly in, fly out. Pre-season, the company and the coach was really great to me. They said we did a 3 week on, 1 week off during pre-season.
Oh yeah.
After already having 5 months off.
Yeah.
And then during the season, every time there was a break or there was a game that they didn't feel like I needed to play, they'd let me fly home. So it was really tough. But it's something we decided as a family. We talk about we felt it really important to keep our families together, and that's why we went over there. and it's what we intended to do, but just with the change, and we sort of decided between us that, okay, I'll keep doing what I'm doing and supply us with a better future.
Yeah.
And she'll come back here and set up shop and start to get our roots in here. And it was tough, really tough for her. Obviously for me, I was catching up with Beaver every other week and and CJ, and the stress is different for me. Just missing family is one thing, but having to deal with 3 kids every day without a break, it's another. So real superstar, my wife. But so we've been here a couple of years, but she did a sort of season and a half.
Why was Gold Coast better for you, boy?
Well, because we looked around, and so we considered everywhere.
Yeah.
So my wife originally wanted to move back to New Zealand.
Yeah.
And obviously I was all for it. Life is great in New Zealand. I love the place and all my friends are there, but we looked around at therapy options and treatment and schooling. So we've stacked everything up, and what New Zealand has and can offer is there's just no comparison to what we were able to find here in Australia. And then the reason why we picked the Gold Coast, we looked everywhere. So there was a chain of schools called AEIOU, and it's made specifically for kids with autism. And so these schools, I think the classes were sort of 8 kids or so, 8 or 9 kids, so not many. They have a teacher, they have a speech therapist, a behavioural therapist, and an occupational therapist in the classroom.
Right. So
just not having to pick up your kid from school, take them to therapy here, take them to therapy there, with 2 other, so with my 2 other girls are neurotypical. So having to drag the girls around with them to do all the stuff, we found the one place where he could have all of that.
Yeah.
And we don't know where he'll end up in terms of his development, whether he'll be, out fishing on the canal and having a laugh, or whether he'll be non-verbal stuck in a room. We can sort of see where he is now. He's sort of starting to talk more, starting to understand sort of different human interactions, and is getting his own personality and things. But we just wanted to give him the best chance.
Yeah.
Whatever the end outcome is, we'll give him the best chance to get to be the best at whatever version of Jake he can be. So that's what we picked Gold Coast, because there was this chain, and there was 1 spot left in two schools. Had a spot. One was in Logan, in Brisbane, which is a little bit rough, or the Gold Coast.
On the canal, on the
so,
mansion in the canal.
Yeah. With a 60-foot Riviera out the back. Nah.
So then how did the Force gig come up to finish?
Yeah, so COVID hit and I come home. I was meant to go back the next year. They asked me to go back. And then there was a little bit of, it was the first time I always felt like I was Japanese when I was in Japan.
Oh yeah.
I tried my best to settle in. I tried to speak as much as I could. I tried to do everything the way they did it. And it was the first time I was treated like a foreigner. That's how I felt. Just around, not so much the contract, because I didn't care about the money so much. Like they say, we're going to reduce your contract, and that's fine. I'm older. I'm worse. I'm not the player I was when I got here. That's fine.
Yeah.
But just some of the other things. And so I said, okay, look, if you guys want to do that, that's fine. I might just play for because the Force had rung me up. We were camping and they rung and said, hey, do you just want to come in? It's for 3 months. We just need some older players. You probably won't play. And I thought, well, I've always wanted to scratch that Super Rugby itch. Like throughout my time in Japan, I had, Smithy and Rents called a couple of times. Scott Robinson called me to go into Crusaders, I think in 2019. Sent me a message about it. But I was just always too scared with the shoulders, I just didn't want to go back there. But I don't know, I came home and I felt like I had nothing to lose. I was at the back end of my career anyway. So I was having this sort of, this dialogue and transaction with Japan, which wasn't how we'd always done things. So I decided, I'm going to do this. They told me not to play Super, so I'm going to do it. And then, so I went and played Super, and then I was meant to go back, but then I just decided, actually, I love it. I'm loving this. I really love my time in Japan, but I love being back here and doing this again because I really love Super Rugby. I loved it. I loved every game. I loved the hits. I love, seeing world class players everywhere. And there's world class players in Japan, but there's more. I go and play the Chiefs in a force jumper and I see Damien McKenzie, Antonina Brown, all these superstars that were rugby. So it was great to be back playing Super, but I definitely played more than I thought I was going to.
Yeah. More for the force than the Chiefs, didn't you?
Yeah. Yeah, well, I just found out I ended up one cap short of 100, which is surprising.
100 super caps?
Yeah.
Oh, far out.
Considering how much I was injured, it's probably not bad. I probably missed 150 games, I reckon. But yeah, it was really great to come back and finish playing at home here. And Aussie's not home, but my family, my brothers and sisters live in Queensland, and so having the opportunity to play in front of them again and traveling back to New Zealand was kind of like a farewell tour because a New Zealand tour was my last one was so Crusaders, Highlanders, Chiefs.
Yeah.
So two teams I played for and the team that I hated almost as much as the Blues.
Oh, the farewell tour! Oh, what a way! What a way to finish!
But, it was. It was nice to get back to Super and just put it to bed and sort of I felt like I put the whole rugby career to bed in a way that I was pretty happy. Obviously not happy with how well I was playing, but if I could sort of carve out my career path, knowing everything that I know now, I'm not sure I would change much.
Or you must look back at your career and be pretty proud of what you've achieved, really.
Yeah, I think back. I think about all the players and stuff that I played with. I was an All Black team that had all, the first centurion with Richie, and then I think week after that was at Mills, and then Kevin Mialamu, and all these guys started. Matanonu, these guys are All Black legends.
Yeah,
I've probably played in the team with. Like that 2011, 2015, I didn't play 2015, but that team, the core group of that team, they're going to be, we don't have immortals in rugby, but they're legends. And it was just really, really fortunate to play with guys like that. And then I look at the Mooloos and the Chiefs and to do the same thing, like John O'Gibbs, Marty Hollers, guys that I thought were just out of this world, talented footballers, were also great people. It was really great just the people, that's what I look back on the most.
Yeah, mate, so cool. And what a journey, man. What absolute yarn. But we have gone to our Instagram for some questions and we have had plenty come through.
Oh, beaver.
3 big trends, really. Big hits. People want to know about your big hits. Stephen Donald was another one. And obviously the cooking. You've influenced so much of this country with your cooking. That's pretty cool. But the first one obviously was the tackle on Quade Cooper in the semi-final. Heaps came in about that one. Talk us through it.
Because Quade grew up around the corner from me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I know I've had a lot of questions about this. Almost every time I speak anywhere, I get asked about it. What did you say to him on the ground? I said, I didn't say anything.
Yeah. Why do you hate him? Like, what's his beef with Quade?
I don't care if it was Quade. I didn't care who it was. I had no intention of going up for the ball.
Yeah.
It was probably just a little further than what I would have been comfortable contesting for. So I sort of decided, and my timing is always really good around high ball kicks and smashing people. So I just saw an opportunity and, I took it. But, to be fair, the review on the Monday, Smithy's asked me why I haven't got that ball back. Because I put him on his back. I should have gone past the ball. Instead, I sort of mucked around and they were able to keep the ball. So the hit was good. The post tackle wasn't.
Oh, true. There you go. The detail.
They've got a way of bringing you back down to earth.
Well, at least it was Smithy and not Cruds.
Yeah. Dead right.
Okay. Next one. Ask him about his haircut when he first got to Waikato.
Oh, yeah.
Centre part.
Yeah. Look, I ran the undercut, the Backstreet Boys for way too long.
How long?
I got rid of it in 2004. But what's that? 18.
Oh, wow.
17.
Yeah.
18. Yeah. Oh, well, yeah. Oh, well. I'd like that time back. It's just one of those things. I don't know. I just, cause I went through, I only ever had bad hairstyles growing up. I had my dad used to cut my hair. So he'd do the little journal on me tuft.
Oh,
the little the zero at the back and a
Yeah,
little tuft
shit.
at the front, and then I had the long one. Did you go through that phase with the flick the fringe back?
No, I didn't, but I like it.
Oh, so you try to grow it as long as you can and flick it. It was the same thing.
Yeah.
And then he would do things like put the train tracks, the blocks. But
Oh,
yeah,
you're real stylish.
I don't know how it started, and I thought I looked good. Um, clearly, clearly in hindsight, I was, I didn't. But if I had the time again, I would cut it. But hey, we've all got some bad cut stories.
You live and you learn, don't you? But
Yeah,
this one might go into this one. Is it true the Toffee Pops approached you to remake the Carlos ad?
yeah, they
Did
did.
they? What
Yeah.
year was that?
Geez, it would have been. I don't know exactly, but it would have been around that 2008, 2010 area.
Oh yeah. And what was your decision not to?
Well, I was injured.
Oh, you
I
didn't
was
want to do it
injured, and
with in the sling.
but I was worried about my rig. Yeah, because I couldn't really do anything, and I just sat around like sort of eating, depressed and eating.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
um, the tradie undies,
Oh yeah.
I got asked to do the tradie undies as well. Same thing. I was in the middle of injury. I was like, I cannot roll out like this.
That
Like
would be
I had
sloppy.
breasts. Yeah, I had breasts and like a little pop belly, and it's like, no, I can't do it. So yeah, no, it was. I considered it for a hot minute, but if my rig was in a better condition, um, I would have done it. But what I wouldn't have done is I wouldn't have jumped in a mower suit and sung like a mate of mine. Have some self respect.
Oh, I forgot about that. Oh,
Oh
that was
my God.
one of the greats, wasn't it?
Oh, it's one of the worst things I've ever seen in my life. I've never seen somebody die on telly without seeing their face.
Oh, so good. Okay. You're starting 13. Who's your dream 12?
Ooh, hard one. Look, if the best 12 that's played the game, in my opinion, is Ma.
Yeah.
So if you're going for like you actually games on the line, you want somebody, I'm going with Ma. Otherwise, I'd probably, you know what, I really enjoyed my time with Cullen Bruce.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, really, he was more of a 10, so he had a good passing game, good talker, real good man, born on the same birthday, so,
Oh,
he's got to be good. Yeah, I'd go Cullen Bruce, I think, at 12.
Bolter. I like that.
Yeah,
Bruce. It's the throwback. Yeah.
yeah, so it's from the Highlanders days too.
Yeah, good stuff. Okay, next one. Would you ever bring back cooking with Kaks? This one probably came in hands down the most.
Yeah, tell you what, the cooking's definitely improved from the fairy bread and the slinky apples. Obviously, we had a targeted audience. I don't think it would be as engaging now with 3 kids running around in the back making heaps of noise. So I think my days in front of the telly cooking is well and truly gone. But I definitely did enjoy it.
Did you get a hard time for doing it?
Not really, and you know what? It was. I think from my experience, it was really impactful
Yeah.
on the kids. So I would go to games and the kids would a lot of kids would talk about, oh, what are you cooking? I cooked this and
Yeah.
Kaks, it was a really great way to interact with the kids. And obviously Small Blacks TV must have been going pretty well. And it was just a small segment, but I really liked the interactions I had with a lot of kids off the back of that. And I think they felt like they knew me better, and it was for kids to have a little bit more confidence to come and talk to me. It was great.
Yeah, mate, that is cool. You should bring it back. Get a wee YouTube channel going. You'll be away.
Yeah.
You mentioned this one. You mentioned throughout the podcast at some point around the treatment Stephen Donald was getting. How hard was that for you as a best mate?
Oh, it was hard, mate. How he got through with the amount of ridicule and like people would drive past and throw things at his house. Like I don't know if you've talked to Beaver about this stuff, but people would throw things at his house. Like I took him to a charity dinner one day, so he came with me as a favour. So they won an auction to have me at dinner. I know, great prize. I know.
It would have cost.
And so I had a +1, and so I said, Beaver, would you come with me? So he came with me, and eating, had a couple of drinks, and then this guy starts on about Hong Kong. I think that might have even been in the movie. His movie. Maybe not. Anyway, so this guy starts going on about Hong Kong, and like mate, he's given up his time to come here, to be with you and share his time and and you're getting stuck into him.
Yeah.
And I remember he would come back. So again, I spent a lot of time injured, and that was it 2009 or 10. I remember texting him after the game because I the next day I saw it was going through the newspapers, and I said, look, mate, just turn your phone off. Just don't read into it, and we'll talk to you when you get back. Obviously, you can't avoid it. Every media session up there that he was involved in. And he didn't say a word. He flew in. We sort of kept in touch, and he flew in to Auckland Airport, and he said, I'm coming home. Met me at Rodeo, which is the bar we always used to go to.
Yeah.
Great place in Hamilton. They looked after us well there. And he drove down, or we met him at the bar. He walked in. There's me, him, maybe Brendan Leonard, Toby Lynn. I think it might have only been the four of us. He comes in. Obviously, you can see him. He's not the guy I knew, right? He's just depressed, carrying a lot of baggage, heartbroken. And come in. We ordered drinks. We kind of sat around. We talked. He didn't. He kind of just sat there over 5 drinks, 20 drinks, whatever it was. He eventually started to open up, and I just was able to get rid of a little bit of that stress. But mate, it was it's pretty disgusting, really. Some of the stuff. Like, I get it. People are emotional, and people are want their team to win, and yeah, I think there's just better ways to understand that there's somebody else on the other end of that text or that email or that post or, that news story. It was hard to go through. It was really hard to go through for him, but great news is, he come on, kicked the winning goal in the World Cup. Now he's a hero, and now he's passing in. So who's laughing now?
Star, yeah.
He is laughing now.
Well, it couldn't happen to a better bloke though, eh? Like, so good.
No, you did right. Oh mate, I'm so happy, and just he deserves it. Like, he's worked really hard.
Yeah.
He deserves everything he's got now.
Yeah, how good. Okay, the next one. Were you ever invited out on the night out with the rest of the bomb squad?
We used to train, do extras after every training, right? We'd play competition games. So we would put our sort of lunch money or dinner money up for grabs. So whoever dropped the most balls would have to buy dinner, stuff like that. So it created a really great competitive environment between us. So we'd start out by then 2 hands was too easy. So we're doing one hand behind your back or left hand it was incredible. So we all pushed each other really hard to be better. And obviously the outcome was we were pretty good during the World Cup. But yeah, we had a few dinners out. Obviously didn't go out on the infamous night out because I'm a bit smarter than that. Hey, a couple of kids just heading out, first time having a beer, eh? But it was a really good unit to be a part of because we got a lot of coverage during the World Cup.
Yeah.
And it was nice to see that the stuff we were doing behind closed doors was paying off in games.
Yeah, awesome. Okay, last one. Best piece of advice for a Woodlad listener?
I think just back yourself, trust yourself. From my own story, just believing in yourself. Sometimes it's really hard to do that, and if you need help to do it, then there's help there to do it. But you're capable of way more than what you think. Is what I'd say. So back yourself.
Mate, love it. What a way to finish. What a way to finish one of the greatest episodes yet.
Oh, come on now.
Mate, you're a true legend of the game. Everyone I've spoken to about you, I've never heard a bad word about you from any other player. Like, everyone loves you. Everyone who played with you or against you, like, you've just got so much respect from the whole rugby community. So it's awesome to get you on and go through your journey because I'm sure that will inspire many, especially people suffering an injury at this point. Like,
oh yeah.
Jeez.
If you've got an injury, come and see me.
It's a lonely and depressing time for people, but when you hear someone who's gone through 6 different shoulder reconstructions while trying to crack his way into the All Blacks, it's pretty inspiring to hear how you got through it and where you are now. Look at you just sitting on your mansion on the Gold Coast.
Oh, come on.
There is light at the end of the tunnel, people.
There's light there.
But appreciate you coming on, mate.
Oh, Jimmy, thank you very much, mate. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be on such a prestigious podcast.
Appreciate it.